Hi there! Well, today I decided this is gonna be my first ever video of what's in bloom this month. Actually, not much is in bloom because it's midsummer and everything is just growing new growths, new roots, and nothing really is in bloom. But because the orchid that started my collection is in lovely bloom, I'm gonna do it anyhow, and even though it's a couple of orchids and mostly phalaenopsis, there you go. I have a story with most of them, so it's still worth of doing it, and there's no need to wait until everything, which will never happen, everything is in bloom, and then do it. So here we go, I'm gonna start. So the first orchid in bloom, the blooms are none of my hard effort. I bought this Vanda at Malvern show, and the story with this one is the first time I really felt very protective about my collection, because everyone's always been so nice and everyone's nice on YouTube and everyone's nice at the shows. Well, what happened, I don't know which exact seller was that, but it was the only one that had Vandas, and I made a decision that I'm not gonna get any more Vandas until I know my first Vanda will actually produce a flower spike and I can give it enough light so it can bloom. But before the Malvern show, it actually did produce flower spikes, so I was like, yes, I can get Vandas, I can grow Vandas, brilliant. So I can get more Vandas. So I got this one. So what I did, I was standing there watching at all the Vandas the seller has, and probably because he saw my face and I was there in love, he was like, oh, so do you like Vandas? I said, yeah. And he was like, how many do you have? And I said, one. And he laughed. And at that point, I became very protective of my orchid collection. And I said, yeah, one of the 100. Yeah, sometimes you need to stand up for your collection. I understand I only now have 2 Vandas, but one of them I've had long enough that it's gonna spike again, and this one I just bought, and it doesn't matter whether you have 1 or 100 of them. And I really thought it was a bit nasty from the guy to chuckle about, oh, you just have 1 Vanda, so good luck to you. But yeah, I really like this Vanda, and my other Vanda is in spike. It's not in bloom yet, so it's not gonna be in this video, but hey ho, protect your collection. Every orchid that you have and it is doing well for you is worth the effort, even if it's only one. Nobody has the right to put you down about it. Alright, so the second orchid that I still have in bloom, and that's from the 25th of April, which is my birthday, and this was my birthday orchid, which is lovely. And this orchid was given to me, well, actually a couple of orchids. It was given to me by my ex-husband and children that kind of found out that I really am after a black orchid. And they tried to find the blackest orchid they could, but they had no idea about orchids whatsoever. So they really tried hard and did overspend a bit, because they went at the end to a very expensive flower shop that just delivers like a display orchids that are multiple orchids together. And they said, yeah, we have the black orchid. And this is what they got, which is absolutely beautiful orchid. Well, actually I have 3, and I already took out one of them and sent to one of my friends, but this is a lovely, lovely orchid. This is Cambria culminara Maasai Red. It is quite dark. Obviously it's not a black orchid. The orchid that I was after was Cataseedum Millennium Magic Witchcraft, if you know what I mean. That is really black, but they tried their best, and I'm really, really pleased. They actually tried for an orchid for me for my birthday, and that was so lovely of them. And I received it in my office, and there was all this flower delivery. Obviously I think they absolutely overspent. but it's still in bloom. And yeah, the petals are quite dark, and you can see it's like very dark purple. And yeah, the name of this orchid actually is, what I found out, is Cambria culminara Masai Red. This is the true name of the orchid. So yeah, this orchid smells absolutely lovely. This is something you enter the sweet, peppery, let's say shop where they sell spices, which is amazing, and it is quite dark, I have to admit, and it lasted for me so long, obviously because there is 3 orchids, well there were 4, but I divided one. Well, it is an amazing bloom. It smells absolutely lovely, absolutely gorgeous, and it's worth having. So if you're after a lovely smelling orchid with a bit of that hinge of pepper, a bit of like a stronger smell, this is Cambria culminara Masai Red. Definitely worth getting. Right, the next orchid I want to show you is this one. This Miltoniopsis is on the way out, but it has a couple of flowers, so it still counts, and it's really a couple. So there is a story with this orchid. This is one of the orchids that have survived from the times when I had no idea what to do with orchids, and I wasn't even aware this is an orchid. So I was watching one of the Danny's videos. Thank you, Danny, so much for letting me know this is Miltoniopsis, and it's actually an orchid. So what happened? I had all my Phalaenopsis already classed as orchids, potted correctly. And then I realized, oh my god, that orchid, that plant that I got for myself is an orchid. And I just potted it in the ground half a year ago, and it's on my windowsill. So this orchid got repotted at midnight. That's the moment when my husband said, okay, you're gone. You're done. You're just done. But this orchid really had no roots when I was repotting it. And this is midnight repotting. Just jumping out of the bed and trying to repot orchid, realizing that is an orchid. It's not just Phalaenopsis is an orchid. There are other ones as well. And it really struggled. It didn't do anything for years. And then it really got out a couple of new growth, but they were very flimsy and there were no roots, there were nothing. But I'm really happy that this orchid actually this year decided, well, I'm gonna finish these new growth and you're gonna get a bloom, because you're not a complete toad. So there you go. It's on the way out now. The other flower spike's finished, but yeah, I'm really happy that this orchid really pulled out of the ground by my own destruction. No roots, nothing. Decided, well, yeah, I'm gonna live. I still have a fighting power in. So the next orchid I want to show you, and I actually absolutely love this orchid, is this Phalaenopsis. And this one I had for a couple of years now. And this Phalaenopsis, really I got it around Christmas time, and when I saw the petals I was like, amazing, this looks like there is this white orchid and somebody just murdered somebody in the room and the blood went everywhere. And it really, every petal is different and it looks like really somebody got chopped up. And just because, obviously I'm joking, nobody got chopped up. Just because of this difference of the red spreading on the petals of the bloom, I really love this orchid. It's just too interesting for me. I love it. It's just not one particular pattern and that's it. This orchid really, the red is proper blood red and it's just distributed randomly, which I absolutely love. Yeah, this is a great orchid I have, and it's just opening, so I'll have some nice flowers show. And I had it for a couple of years, obviously. It's been healed up. And yeah, Another orchid I'm gonna show, obviously again Phalaenopsis, but I love it, and that's what's in the bloom, and that's what's important. This orchid, I do not remember when I got it. I think this orchid was got just after I came out of my dark ages of orchids, when I didn't know anything about orchids and I was neglecting them badly. I think I just got it and I really like the blooms, and this year it produced one spike but a really good show, and I love how the colors are distributed on these blooms. It's something special, you know, something nice to have. And even though people always say, oh, Phalaenopsis, they're just too easy, you know, they're just peasant orchids. Yeah, but they're beautiful. There's nothing wrong with them. Look at this show. This is absolutely impressive, and this stays in office, and yeah, why not? Now, this orchid is a trooper. I have no idea what's wrong with it. This is an orchid that I got when I was already aware how to care for orchids and how to treat them so they don't die. Let's say that. And this is just a purple Phalaenopsis, right? But there is a trick to it. I don't know what's wrong with it. I'm actually trying to figure out what exactly is wrong with this orchid. It has 2 flower spikes, and it has been in bloom for a year. A whole year. Really. What is going on? Have you ever had that? I've never had that. None of the other orchids do that. They do their blooms and then they falls off. This one is still safe. It's nowhere close to finish their blooms. I don't know. I've never had that type of orchid. And it's interesting because if you can see, it's already made a whole big new leaf that is super shiny. Is comparing to the other. Can you see the shine? Wow, this orchid is I don't know what it's doing, but it's a monster. Really, I bought it a year ago in bloom, and the blooms are still there. I'm not particularly sure that I'm doing something right, because I don't particularly think that this is right for the orchid to be in bloom for a year. But it's there, and it's produced sap and so forth, and I'm really letting it, like a couple of times I thought, let me cut the flower spikes off because this is not normal, this is not healthy. But then I thought again, well, the orchid's managing it, the roots are fine, the leaves are fine, the flower spikes look fine. Why should I? Let's see how long this one can last, and really doesn't look like it's gonna go anytime soon. There you go. That's my 1-year bloom orchid. Now another orchid, but this one is in my daughter's room. This was the first orchid that my daughter thought, oh, I can see you're really passionate about orchids. And she bought one for herself, which was lovely. And that was more than a year ago. And it wasn't in the best shape, and I put it in a semi-hydroponics, and it did well. It produced the flower spikes, and it's just so tiny. It's so miniature. I don't know what to compare it with. There you go. There's a bottle of water next to it. Can you see how small it is? When you're repotting it, you really need some surgeon instruments because they're so small. They're so tiny. It's small white Phalaenopsis was absolutely beautiful. And she's doing a good job taking care of it, meaning bringing an orchid down for watering when I scream, hey, I need your orchids. There you go, that's how this one gets watered, but it's a lovely, lovely orchid, why not? Now this orchid only has 1 flower left, but I think it's quite special. I haven't seen a splash of color exactly like that before on the Phalaenopsis, and that's why my daughter again got it, because she thought, wow, this is so beautiful, and it had massive blooms, and this is the last flower left, but it still counts as in bloom. There you go. It's just so beautiful, and it's white and pink with all these dots. It's just very refreshing, and it's a good show. It looks like a very prolific bloomer. So yeah, I'm just gonna try to take good care of it, and again scream when they need to come down for watering. You know, that's how my children orchids get watered. They're like, yeah, I take care of my orchid. I'm like, yeah, well, I'm there to tell when they need fertilizing and water. There you go. But absolutely beautiful, and yeah, very special orchid. And I really like the sharp bits and just the shape of the flower. It's a bit different. She got it in IKEA, so if you want a flower like that, look out in IKEA, it might be there. Now this one is a special Phalaenopsis. Even though this is one of the rare ones, I actually do have a name for. If I can find the tag. Can I find the tag? Well, yeah, it has to have a tag. Come on. I did have a tag on it. Uh-oh. One more orchid without a tag. Great. Anyhow, I know it was mini mark something. This orchid, anyhow, doesn't matter. This is a Phalaenopsis orchid that I got when my husband broke a flower spike. I was so upset. He broke a flower spike of a very special orchid, and I waited for it very long time, and he broke the flower spike. So, as to pay me for the pain and suffering, and I cried, I actually cried, he took me to orchid nursery. And one of the orchids that we picked out, and he picked out really, was this Phalaenopsis. I picked some other orchids, but he picked this one. He said, I really like how this one looks. This is my style. This is my liking. So even though it's my orchid, because yeah, it's mine, I call it my husband's orchid, and it opened a flower spike and it's doing very nicely. And yeah, there you go. The yellow is very nice, and it has these red lines and the purple lip. You know, it's an interesting orchid, even though now it has no name because I can't find the tag. I will find the tag. This one was tagged Phalaenopsis. I have to find the tag. This is what I call my husband's orchid. There you go. It's a miniature, so it fits lots of homes. If you have very little space, this is perfect for you. And it's an easy one and has no trouble really. Yeah, it's a lovely orchid. Now really I have to mention the queen of the collection. This is an orchid that started my orchid collection, my orchid hobby. Before that I didn't really have a hobby. I was going out with friends and doing stuff, but this one really started my hobby. Even though it's not that good looking on leaves, there is this massive story. So thanks to this orchid, I actually have at the moment more than 100 orchids, and the reason is one. Long time ago, a couple of years ago, I had some orchids. I thought that they are swamp plants. I was drowning them, I was drying them, I was doing absolutely everything that should not be done to an orchid, like everyone else who doesn't know anything about orchids would do. Then I got very angry that my orchid didn't bloom, didn't have another flower spikes, and I was sick and tired of throwing them out. You know, they finished blooming, that's it, nothing happened, so I throw them out. And I just googled one night, and obviously I came across Danny's videos, and thank you so much, and other videos, and I realized, oh, that's how you take care of them. Oh, that's what I did. I repotted them, I started to water them properly, I started to fertilize them properly, and guess what? It gave a flower spike, which I was super happy. I was like, hey ho, the orchids that I bought actually are living longer than 3 weeks. So yeah, this orchid was having a flower spike, and then tragedy struck. My mom passed away, and she was age 65 and I was age 30, and that's something that I don't wish on anyone. So we went back to Latvia, where all the happenings happened that don't have to be mentioned, but it was a very hard period. And I left my orchids for 2 weeks. And I came back to England and tried to resume my life. And the first night that I entered the room, this orchid bloomed. It was there. So when I left to Latvia, it was still in a bud. I was still thinking about it. I've actually forgotten how it looks. That was the interesting bit, because I had like 3 of them that didn't bloom for years and years, and I've already forgotten how they look. And then I started to treat them nice, and they were flower spiking, and it was like surprise moment for me. And I entered my bedroom, and this orchid was blooming for me in exactly the same way as it is now. And I was just sitting there and I looking at the orchid, and it just made me calm and relaxed, and I thought everything's gonna be all right. It's all right. So this orchid really kind of turned a very dark moment to a very, just a glimpse, a grain of a pleasant moment. So thanks to this orchid. And as I said, whatever orchid I'm gonna get, this is the most valuable orchid in my collection, because it represents that moment in my life when I was very down, and it bloomed for me. And actually, the funny thing with it is it's a prolific bloomer. It can't stop. It never stops. If you have a flower spike, that's it. It's gonna bloom like 3 times, and not much of leaves, but yeah, that's how it all started. When I saw this orchid in bloom, that's when I understood that orchids might be my hobby, my sanctuary, my peace. And yeah, this orchid is the most, not even questionably, this is the most expensive orchid that I have in collection. And probably I got it for like 5 quid. But morally, or because of memories, this is the one that started the collection, the one that got me going and excited and wanting to get more. And it's still, every time it blooms, after putting out some leaves or so forth, it makes my heart happy. I don't know how to properly say it in English. There you go. It just makes me happy, and the blooms are absolutely huge and lovely, and it always has a massive display. There you go. Wow, this is like a proper display. It always does this. It's never, oh, I'm gonna do a couple of blooms. No. This one goes big. So this one I'm really gonna cherish the most, you know. Good memories, and I call it my mom's orchid. But there you go. That's how I started my collection. That's what's in bloom at the moment. And yeah, have a good day and see you soon.